Hello, welcome to episode 199 of the CraftHouseMagic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 24th of February. So welcome everybody, I hope you've all had a lovely crafty week since the last time I've spoken to you, and I'm here to share all the things that I've been making in the last 7 days. So today I have some knitting, some sewing, a gadget, a blast from the past which is a quilting based one, and some information on my shop update. And there's quite a few new things going in the shop update tomorrow, the 25th of February at 7 PM if you're interested. If you want to see what they are, stay tuned to that section. And then I've got a little spot where Jensen is showing what he's sort of wearing. Today we've got a blanket, so stay tuned for that if you want to see it. There are timestamps in the progress bar at the bottom of the video if you want to skip along to any of the sections. And I know quite a few of you skip along to Jensen's section at the end to see what he's got on before you watch the rest of the podcast, so feel free. So we have two Makalongs going on in the Ravelry group and on Instagram called the Retro Mal and Craft 20 a Day. There are details of both of these in the description bar down below, and I've talked about it in previous episodes. So let's get on with the knitting, shall we? I have two completely new projects. Because who works on their projects they've already started? You just need to start new ones, that's what I say. So the first one I've got to show you are some slithering mitts for Adam, because he was jealous of my mittens I showed on the podcast last week that were colourwork, and he wanted a nice pair of mittens to keep him warm when we go for walks. So he decided he wanted a Slytherin pair because of course he's in Slytherin, he's been chosen by the Sorting Hat to be in Slytherin, and he wanted the mittens that go along with it. I do believe that they do the other houses for Harry Potter as well if you are interested in making one for your particular house. I thought the Slytherin one is particularly lovely with the snake detail on the front. So it is a colourwork pattern with the snake on the hand, and I noticed that the matching pair one is actually the snakes going the opposite way, so it does look like an S on this side, but the other side it actually is a mirrored image of the S. But of course you could just use the left hand chart to do the right hand mitten as well, but that's what the charts say. So that's what the front of the mitten looks like, and it's got 2x2 rib at the bottom. When you actually don't have it on one of these blockers, it does cinch in a little bit, which I think is a nice feature. I've just got it on the blocker so I can show you more easily. The back of the mitten has got this gorgeous crisscross pattern, and then there's a border around either side, and there's some sort of stripes down the thumb, and I'm halfway through the thumb. And there is an S on the thumb as well, which I haven't got to quite yet, but I thought that they were really lovely, and Adam is very excited to wear these. So I've only just got this one mitten, I haven't started on the second one, but I'm sure I can potentially finish the second one and finish this one and the second mitten by next week. So I've been using the Higher Flyer Trio needles, and these are a 2.5mm needle size, and the pattern actually calls for a 2.25mm needle, but I always knit my colourwork mittens in 2.5mm needles. I know that a more or less sort of 60-64 stitches is the size that fits with a 2.5mm needle for me, so I knew that these would fit if I went up a needle size. My colourwork is particularly tight, so I do need to go up to a 2.5mm needle. Luckily now I know what size I need to knit, so I don't have to sort of gauge anymore. I can just keep knitting them. But isn't that snake lovely? Really nice detailed colourwork pattern. I am using some Jamieson and Smith yarns that I've had in my stash. I can't remember what I bought these for. It might have been part of the Peary Fluers hat that I showed you. I think it was last week or the week before. But maybe not, I don't know. Could have been left over from something else. But I do have to buy, I think I'm going to have to buy another one of this sort of turquoisey green colour to finish off the second mitt, because I've got that much left. I haven't weighed it yet, but I could just give it a weigh when I finished the first mitten just to see how much I'll need for the second mitten. And I think I'll just need one 25-gram ball to finish them off. So that'll be for the main green colour. I think you probably need about 50 grams, and then the contrast grey I've used 25 grams. This green is quite turquoisey compared to the normal Slytherin logo, but I had it in my stash and I actually really liked the turquoise tinge to it. So I chose it to use, and it's also nice to use some yarn out of my stash as well. And I'm not buying too much more yarn, at least until the East Anglia Fibre Festival at the end of next month anyway. So that is the first project I got to show you, and I have a second project I've got to show you. And this is the puff shawl. It's a pattern by Mutch, and this has actually been knitted by Adam's mum Liz. I haven't blocked it yet, because actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo the cast off edge, and I'm going to use a bit more of the yarn to make it slightly bigger, because it's just such a lovely shawl. I'm a big fan of bigger shawls anyway, and I think using a bit more of the yarn just make it that bit nicer. So I'm using some Deep Stash from Bad Wolf Sits and Knits. And this is the Galaxy colourway on a really lovely sparkle base, and I thought that that would pair really nicely with some mohair in this turquoisey colour. And this is a Debbie Bliss Angel Super Kid mohair and silk. It's 76% kid mohair and 24% silk. There's 200 metres in a 25-gram ball, and I don't know the details of the Bad Wolf Sits and Knits. I know that it's a merino and stellina base, but there wasn't actually a label on it when I got it through. But I thought that those would make a really nice combination, and I love this. It's so pretty. Really lovely sparkly yarn. I'm actually showing you the wrong side. Not a good example for a podcaster, is it? And you've got these really cute areas where there is mohair, and it's so fluffy. I don't think you can really see how lovely that is on camera compared to real life. I think that is so pretty. So I am going to undo the cast off edge and do a couple more repeats, I think. But isn't that such a lovely pattern? I believe she did the serge pattern as well, which Liz has also knitted for me in a sample. Perhaps I should do that for next week's Blast from the Past, actually. That would be nice. So this is quite a small shawl because it's only sort of one skein, and obviously you're using a bit of the mohair, but it is about my arm span wide. So I thought it might be nice to add that little bit of extra. Let's see how far it goes. See, it's not, I've not cut the ends off yet. It's just been cast off. Let's see how well it goes around my neck. Actually, that's not too bad. I'm still tempted to undo that cast off edge though, because it isn't a very stretchy cast off that Liz has done either, so I think it'll make it so that I can really block it out nicely if I do undo the cast off edge and just do another repeat and cast off again using a really stretchy bind off technique. So there we go. That is the second of my knits I've got to show you. Isn't that pretty? So that's all the knitting I've got to show you, but I do have some sewing. So last week I started on, well, I didn't start, I'd already started this block, and I picked it up again and I'd done those two pieces of the block, and I finished this side off, and I've also started a second one, and you can sort of see what the work in progress looks like, where I've been adding little scraps of fabric to make the block. And you get this foundation pieced template on paper, and you can use that to create these cute little blocks. Now this is a pattern by Helen Butcher, who is Little Patch Pockets, and I'll leave a link to her website. This is a class that I did a couple of years ago called the Yellow Brick Road class. Now I don't think she does the class anymore, but I will link to her website anyway, because she has got a number of really lovely other classes that you might be interested in, that you can get her to come out to you in anywhere in the UK really, and there's actually a rundown of her charges on her website, so I'll leave a link there. But isn't that lovely? It's all my favourite colours, turquoises and grey, and I'm actually doing this so that I can make a table runner for our lounge. and so far I am really enjoying this. So last week I was saying how fiddly it was with some of these really tiny little pieces, but now I feel as if I've got back into the hang of doing foundation piecing again, and I feel like I really want to spend every spare moment doing this, but there's just not that much spare time at the moment with having Jensen around, but I will get round to it, hopefully get at least another block finished for next week. So that is my sewing section, but I do have some sewing in my blast from the past, so stay tuned if you're interested in the sewing things. So next I have my gadget. Now this week I thought that I'd mention a magnetic pin cushion. Well, it's not really a pin cushion, a magnetic dish that you can use to keep your pins, and I find these especially useful if I go to sort of classes or go to my local quilt group, so that I can keep the pins that are stuck to this magnetic plate so that they don't get lost, rather than using a standard pin cushion. I don't normally use the magnetic ones for just around my craft room. I use a standard pin cushion there, but I think that the magnetic ones are really nice and useful when you're going out and about sewing. This particular one is from Prim, but I know that you can get some that have a lid on the top so that you know that your pins are not going to get lost when they're stuck in your bag as well. But it's very pretty looking. I've taken the pins off here because I've actually transferred them back onto my wrist magnet thing that I use all the time. But it is very handy for taking to classes. So I'm now onto my blast from the past, and I thought that I would show you a quilt that I've made that's actually got some foundation piecing on it, and I made this at least maybe 3 years ago, maybe longer, and it is a quilt that actually is going to look really nice in Jensen's bedroom, I think. So weirdly I just randomly chose these foundation pieced panels that were quite good for a little boy's quilt. I finished it and I thought, well, it's actually quite childish when I finished it, but ideally now I have a little boy to give it to. So that is going to be in Jensen's bedroom. I found it in the cupboard the other day and I thought, I must have known ahead of time that I was going to have a little boy. So this foundation piece blocks all the way around the quilt, and I especially like these ones here, and I've chosen all my favourite sort of blues, and these are all Bella Solids, and then the Dresden plate is in the centre, and I chose to finish it off with some applique stars. It is a bit creased because it's been in the cupboard for a few years, but there we go. That is my blast from the past, and I do actually, I'll show you the back. I didn't do a very complicated quilt on this one. I just did sort of stitching the ditch around the Dresden plate and around the blocks here. Got bits of fluff off my floor. My craft room floor is absolutely covered with thread. Anybody else have that issue? But there we go. That is the blast from the past for this week. So I have my shop update next. So the March yarn clubs will be available for pre-order in my shop until the 1st of March. I've changed it. I've decided to change it so that it goes over payday so that people aren't going to be missing out. But those will be available on my website until the 1st of March, and they will be shipped on the 11th of March. So pop over to the website if you want to catch one of those. I am actually going to run the yarn clubs this year right until the end of the year. So normally I do it till September because Christmas is rather busy with other things. I am going to do the yarn clubs right up until the end of the year now because I have Adam at home helping me. I've popped the dates right up until the end of the year on the website as well. If you subscribe to my email, you will get a notification each month of when they're released, and that will also give you information on other things that I'm popping in the shop as well. So I am releasing some of the yarn clubs from last year, and I have the colourway that I released last March, and this is I Had the Time of My Life, and it is a song from Dirty Dancing. So last year I did the music from the movies sock sets, and this was from Dirty Dancing, I Have the Time of My Life. And there is some dusky pink and grey shades with some delicate speckles of grey, and the same pink is the contrast mini. So that is I've Had the Time of My Life, and that will be now available from Friday in the shop update in my shop. So I'm also introducing last year's mixtape minis for March, and it was Dancing with Myself is this one, which is coral and purple. I then have Twisting the Night Away, which is like this yellow on coral. Do You Love Me is the different tones of blues. Dancing in the Street is blue and coral. And then I have I Want to Dance with Somebody, that's in the middle here with little splashes of all the colours, which I especially like. So they're designed to go together as a set, and they will be available in the shop in this week's update this Friday the 25th of February at 7 PM GMT. Those are the yarns that I've got to go in the shop this week. I do have a mystery set, which I'll say at the end, which I'm also introducing, but I've got a new fabric and I've made some bags up to list in the shop, and it's this gorgeous yarn print. It is a black background with turquoise and red yarn balls and needles on there. So I've just made up the medium-sized bags. I do make small and large ones as well to order, and on my website you can see a little video of the size comparison, but these ones are medium-sized. This one is the drawstring, which has a drawstring at the top like that, and this one is a zipped version. So I've chosen to line it in a blue, and they've both got two nice big pockets on the inside there, and they've got a nice big boxed bottom, so you can get a decent sized project in these. So these medium sized ones you can get a couple of sock projects, you can get a small cardigan or jumper, say if you're using a fingering weight yarn. I've used these for that size, and also is ideal for shawl sizes as well. So that is the drawstring one. You get slightly more space in the medium-sized zip compared to the drawstring, obviously, because some of this area is taken up with the drawstring. But those are the bags, but I've also made all the accessories to sell in the shop as well. I have a scissor case, and I do offer scissors that go with these, but you can order them separately, and it gives you the size of scissors that fit in the cases on the website. I have notions pouches which sit nicely on the surface. I've paired them with a little stitch marker as well, a progress keeper to go on the zip, and those progress keepers will be with the zipped versions as well of the bags. I've got two sizes of DPN case. This is for sort of standard 6-inch double pointed needles, and these ones are for the 8-inch double pointed needles or 20 centimetre. These are also good for flyers as well. Those will fit in there nicely, and they've got press studs to hold them in place. I like to make my DPN cases with wadding in as well, so they're nice and squishy. And that is the set for the yarn ball. I will also offer this to sell as fabric by the ½ metre. So I've got quite a bit of this in stock, and actually what goes really well with it, as well as the blue fabric, is the sheep with knitting needles, knitting little jumpers that I've shown on the podcast before. So these two are actually out of the same collection, and I liked this sheep one so much I went and got the black version with the yarn on as well. And I sell the fabrics for both of these in the shop, as well as some contrast fabrics. So for the bags, for the blue with sheep fabric on, I normally do a red lining, and for this set I've chosen to do a turquoise. But of course I can do a different lining. I can do black, red or turquoise, or whatever colour that you fancy that I've got in my shop to go with your bag if you want it to. And then of course you can buy the fabric separately if you want to as well, make your own. I do have a bag pattern to show you how I make my bags that's available on the website as well. So that's my new fabric that I've got in the shop. But I've also decided to introduce a Celebrate Spring project bag and yarn set, which is going to be a surprise. So I have chosen a song title to inspire the yarn colourway that's going to go in this bag, but I'm going to leave that as a surprise. I'm just going to say that it's the Celebrate Spring project bag and yarn set. So it'll be a 100-gram skein of yarn with a 20-gram mini, and you'll be able to choose between merino and nylon, merino, nylon and stellina, or BFL and nylon in the 4-ply yarns, or a DK merino as well. So you'll be able to choose which base you like the yarn in, and also whether you want your bag to be drawstring or zipped. So there'll be those choices to choose from in a couple of drop down boxes in the listing, so make sure you've chosen the one you want. I will be sort of dyeing them to order, so you should be able to choose any of those. So I'm going to keep the song inspiration a secret until you open your kit, but there will be a handmade project bag which will be the medium size, which is the same size as these ones, but it will be one of my applique and free motion bags, and I'm going to leave those as a surprise, and they'll be exclusive to the people who have bought the Celebrate Spring kits. They will be available in this week's shop update on the 25th of February at 7 PM GMT. So the details of those will be all on my website, and all these things that I've talked about today will be available on the website tomorrow the 25th of February at 7 PM GMT. And if you want a reminder when they're on the website, if you subscribe to my newsletter by going onto my website, scrolling down to the bottom of the page, and then there's a box at the bottom that you can pop your email in, you will get an email reminder every time I have a shop update. And you can always unsubscribe if you don't want any reminders anymore, or temptation. So now I've got a little clip of Jensen in his new blanket. So this week Jensen has got a gorgeous blanket, and this was sent to me by Kira, and it's a beautiful waffle style blanket. Oh, we've got a smile. And it's the midwife blanket by Little Monkeys Crochet, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much, Kira. And it's got these beautiful little flowers on. Yeah, do you like it, Jensen? You've made us some little bubbles. Yeah. And you can see his hair is getting really long here. Yes, it is. Say goodbye to everybody, Jensen. Yes. So I also wanted to mention that Kira sent this beautiful card, and I thought it was fantastic because there's actually seeds inside the card. So on the back of the card it tells you that you can actually bury this in the garden and the seeds will grow. And how cool is that? Very environmentally friendly, and you get some beautiful flowers as well. So that is vidanatura.co.uk. So I thought that was a brilliant idea, and I'll be looking to get some of those for myself to gift to other people. Thank you, Kira. So I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you next week on the podcast. Bye!